In this video, we're going to breathe new life into the standard 12-bar blues progression by borrowing from our jazz friends. We're going to use the 2-5-1 technique and put it in a couple different spots in a typical 12-bar blues progression. And I think you're going to hear that some cool things start happening with the chord changes. Before we get into it, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button if you're watching this on YouTube, and that will really show your support for these free lessons that come out every single Tuesday. So give us a thumbs up if you like the video, hit subscribe, and let's get right to it. Before we dive into this lesson, it's going to be super helpful if you know a bit about Roman numeral analysis. That's where we start talking about the 1 chord, the 4 chord, the 5 chord. And if that sounds unfamiliar to you, then check out the lessons that I've linked up below this video that should help you get a quick grasp on that. We'll do a quick crash course on this anyway, just to get us started, but you got to know this stuff inside and out, and this is a key concept that you really should get familiar with on the guitar. So when we typically run through a 12-bar blues progression, we play the 1 chord. We're going to come at this from the key of A. So the 1 chord is A7, and 1 root, this is all just our first chord. This is where everything is sort of referenced from or keyed from. So we're playing this A7, and then we would utilize a 4 chord. So real quick, what does that really mean? Well, D is 4 scale degrees above A. So there's a root, a second, third, and then 4th. It's coming from the major scale. So there's a D, and if we build a dominant 2nd chord off of it, then we've got D7. And then when we talk about blues, you typically hear 1, 4, and 5. So if we move that up, we can play an E7. And of course, there are multiple voicings of that, but here's our 1, our 4, and our 5. When you plug those into the 12-bar blues progression, you get something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to do quick change. 4 chord in bar 2, then we're back at bar 3 and 4. Then our D again, this is bar 5 and 6, and here's 7, 2, 3, 4, and 8, 2, 3, 4, 9, that's our 5 chord, 10 is our 4 chord again, and then we've got 11 and 12. And often you'll hear ending on the 5 chord for bar 12. And that's well and good, and there's a whole lot that you can accomplish just utilizing that formula for 12-bar blues. But what we're going to do today is add a level of sophistication to this by borrowing a jazz concept, and that's the 2-5-1 progression. That little chord progression can really spruce things up in your blues progressions here. And what that really means is you're going to fall down to your 1 chord from the minor 2nd. So when we talked about the 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4th degree, the 2nd is just a whole step up. So if we're thinking about A, then that would be B. And we want to keep the 7th 5 going, so we would do B, and the 2nd's always going to be minor, and we would do a B minor 7. So either here or here. Sounds really good. Both really cool chords. So that would be a 2. We already know our 5, and here's a 1. And you can do that anytime you're getting ready to head to your 1 chord. But now let's take this little bit of knowledge to the next level. Just that real quick 2-5-1. Crazy thing is, even if we're targeting a different chord, we can do a 2-5-1 into that chord. I'll show you what I mean by starting with a 2-5-1 in bar 4. Now, bar 4, we're headed to bar 5, which is the D7 chord, our 4 chord. But for just a minute, think about the D7 as a 1, and let's build a 2-5-1 to target that D7 as the 1. It's a cool way to add some movement with your chords. So if we play a D7, our 2nd would be E, and we know we want that dominant 7th sound, and we know we need a minor, so we could do an E minor 7. Cool chord there. So that would be our 2. Again, we just switched. We've forgotten a little bit about the fact that we're in A, and we're doing a 2-5-1 into D. D7 is really our new target chord. So 2, and our 5 would be A7, and then our 1, D7. So let's hear what this sounds like playing through the first 4 bars and then doing our 2-5-1 at the end of bar 4 into the top of bar 5. We'll just strum through the chords and really start to hear the movement here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Quick change. 2, 3, 4. Bar 3, 2, 3, 4. Pretty cool. Let's hear that again. Again, we've got the 2-5-1 happening into the D7. So these chords aren't really chords that you would think about in the key of A. They're really not. Well, it is an A, but the E minor 7 certainly sounds a little new, and it strikes your ear, and it adds that little sophistication that I'm talking about to the progression. So again, let's hear this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bar 2, 2, 3, 4, and 3, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we can keep going with the progression. We go back to our A chord here, A again. We've got our 5 chord and our 4 chord, then our 1. And right here, we're at bar 12. We can do a cool little 2-5-1 there. But think of this as moving us back to bar 1. Well, 1 starts us on the A chord, so we can actually build a 2-5-1 and land on the real 1 chord here, the A7. So a 2, thinking about A now, a 2 would be up a whole step, and that's B. We want to keep that dominant 7th sound, and we need to make it minor, so we've got a B minor 7. That's our 2. Now the 5 over A, we already know that. We've talked about that. That is going to be an E7. And then moving into our 1, which is really now cycling back to the top of the progression. So here, just to pick up from our little turnaround sequence where we've got the 5, 4 is at the end, and 1, 2, 3, 4 minor 2nd. So hear how that chord element, just that movement, it really creates something kind of cool. And now we've got 2 spots where we're utilizing that 2-5-1 movement. So let's have a listen to the entire progression with the 2-5-1 into the top of bar 5, and then the 2-5-1 to really round us out at the end of bar 12. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2, 2, 3, 4. Bar 3, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The 5 chord, 2, 3, 4. The 4 chord, and then bar 11 and 12. Pretty cool. So we really just built out the bare bones of a blues progression that calls heavily on that 2-5-1. Have some fun with this, strum around, and get used to playing some chords that are technically outside of the key that you're working in. It really adds something super cool and helps you create some chordal movement in your blues. Now stay tuned with us next week, because when we come back, we're going to build out a cool little finger picking thing complete with a couple of little snappy licks that really will highlight the 2-5-1 and get you really moving around the neck a little bit more. Super cool stuff to up the come in the very next Tuesday blues. You don't want to miss it. So practice this, really get ingrained this 2-5-1 sound. And you know what? Practice moving it around and use it in different bars and use it as a technique, as a device to get you from where you are to where you're going in a little cool chordal way. All right, I hope you enjoyed this lesson. There's definitely a lot of cool stuff that you can learn to really spice up your acoustic blues playing. And if you're interested in doing just that, then I invite you to check out BGI's Premium Members area. We've got a ton of cool courses that are available just for the premium members, and we've got new stuff coming out all the time. If you want to check it out, then head over to bluesguitarinstitute.com/premium and see what a premium membership has to offer, and get ready to take your playing to the next level. That's it for this lesson, and until next week, be sure to practice smart and play on.